Ladies and gentlemen, we do thank you very much for your attention, and now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the
Welcome to our top travel destinations. I am your host, Kevin Flanagan. I have been editor of the weekly travel news column in the Sunday Independent and the Fine Wine and Food Guide, and I am here to use my decades of experience to help you know exactly where to stay, eat, drink, shop, and explore when visiting the world's top travel destinations. So sit back and enjoy the wonders of travel as we take off on our magical journey together. Welcome to Kevin's Top Travel Destinations, and this week I'm going to talk about something that is really important and beneficial, particularly for our older listeners. We have listeners in 120 countries around the world, 60,000 every month, and a lot of those are over 45. And I've very good news for you, because it's now been established that travel is one of the best medicines you can take as we get older. Because travel gives us something really precious, something that declines as we go through life, and that can be anticipation. Research has found that looking forward to an experience boosts happiness and well-being. The anticipation of a trip, whether it's to a local area or a long distance, can provide weeks or months of pleasure before you even pack your suitcase. A really big problem with getting older is dementia and the cognitive decline. Well, travel hits that on the head, if you'll pardon the pun. You're navigating airports, or you're navigating how to get from A to B, however that may be. You're learning phrases in a new country. You're finding a hotel or an Airbnb. You're reading maps. You're trying to get your head around new customs, new lingo, new languages. All these activities stimulate the build what neurologists call cognitive reserve, the brain's resilience against age-related decline. You see, our brains actually like novelty. Travel is novelty in concentrated forms, and as we get older, we can suddenly become unused to novelty. We can go into what's called the habitual decline, where we get stuck in a rut. And as somebody once said, what's the difference between being in the rut and being in the grave? It's about 5.5 feet. It's so important. All my friends that I bump into when they know about the podcast, they all ask, particularly older ones, well, I've really gone off travel. I admire you for traveling so much, but I just really couldn't do it. And I'm really making this podcast particularly for that cohort of people who don't believe that when they get to their late 50s or 60s or certainly their 70s, that travel is a thing they have to give up. I mean, look at the whole point of exercise as well. When you go to a foreign clime, you think about your trips. You walk, like when I recently in Venice, you're walking miles without even knowing it. You're crossing squares of Santiago de Compostela. You're wandering through museums. You're strolling along promenades. The movement is gentle, enjoyable, and often you sustain this over days, and you don't even know it's exercise, but the body benefits enormously. One of the other great challenges of getting older is isolation. If you go on a travel trip, either on your own, which I'd highly recommend, or in company, well, you have to do the opposite. You have to talk to people. You have to talk to people when you're leaving the country. You've got to talk to strangers. You've got to ask for directions. You sit beside people on trains, in cafes. You sit beside other travelers and you tell them stories. People ask you questions where you come from. You become part of the world again. And the research shows repeatedly that social connection is strongly linked to better health and well-being and counteracting cognitive decline. And there's this fascinating research I wanted to share with you that shows that older travelers actually travel better. It doesn't become worse, because older travelers are looking for quality over quantity of time away. They're going about looking for comfort over rushing. They're looking for meaningful experiences over just taking selfies and Instagram. And conversation becomes primary, not just the schedule that you're chasing. I think the other thing I found is you're not trying to prove anything anymore. You know you're an old codger, so you're just going for the experience. And I'd have to say, I'll end this little podcast with a couple of the recent things I did. But I think it really is absolutely vital when you look at how many benefits you get from traveling. Now, it also strengthened family bonds. I know about this one very much personally. I travel a lot with my grandkids, as you know. If you read the Irish Independent or Independent Online, or you follow the podcasts, we recently went on the Camino to Santiago with the grandkids and then went celebrating Arsenal's success in London. And you see their world through their eyes. But maybe one of the most important elements of all this is awe. Now, scientists are increasingly finding that awe is medicine too. The moments that make us feel part of something bigger is awe. Standing beneath the swinging incense burner, the Botafumeiro in Santiago Cathedral, the one that went viral with 2 million views, that is a sense of awe. Seeing the end of the earth at Finestra, at the end of the Camino, is awe. Entering a cathedral or any of the great temples and stupas and extraordinary places like in Nepal, where I've just done a podcast on how you go down to the river and you see the cremations there and the respect for the dead, which reminds you of the journey we're all on. That gives you awe. So this is an extraordinary, powerful thing scientists are discovering. Awe reduces stress. It increases feelings of connectedness. And you get these when you travel, as long as you're not just traveling to a place that you're habituated to. If you're going somewhere different, whether it's Rome, which is quite nearby, London, Paris, all of these things give you this sense of awe. And if you go further afield, the awe increases. You also get adaptability because flights are delayed, because hotels can disappoint, because the weather can turn, or you get lost. You learn to cope. And that reinforces the idea that I'm still capable. And that confidence matters enormously in latter life. And I think that travel changes as we age. At 20, it was a voyage of discovery for me. At 40, it was more of an adventure. But at 70 now, it's something really important. I know that my years are numbered, and so I really want to make every journey count. That's why I love traveling with my son and grandkids, because they're important, because you know that these could be important memories that you're making. And it then just goes to show that people are the most important part. But I think the greatest thing about travel and the greatest medicine is remaining curious. I think this could be the real secret sauce, and science seems to back that up. People who remain curious tend to remain engaged. If you remain engaged, you tend to be more healthy. If you tend to be more healthy, emotionally, mentally, you will live longer. You're looking at another street, another church, another place, another person, another reason to get up in the morning. So I just think that if you really want to stay well, and if you really want to stay healthy cognitively and physically, embrace travel. Think of it as taking medicine. Think of your next trip as a shot in the arm of just pure awe and experience with your grandkids or someone you love or someone you care, or go on your own. Because this is going to give you something that's not only going to give you great memories, it's going to help you live longer. And isn't that the best medicine of all?